Hi and welcome to In the Chair. I'm Imogene, the host. Today I'm being joined by my good friends, Keri Arthur, yay! Suzi Love, yay!
Hi.
And Sassie Lewis, yay! Hey. Now, before we start, Keri, on the weekend, something happened. What happened, Keri?
One of my stories, Blood Kissed, won Best Futuristic Sci-Fi Fantasy Romance at the ARA Awards.
Well deserved. Well deserved. And sadly, we weren't there to enjoy it. Where we go?
No, why weren't you there?
I'm not an ARA member, unfortunately. It's one of those things that when I pulled out of the other one,
Okay.
I kind of just let them all slide and just never signed back up again.
Fair enough.
Now, today we're talking about copyright issues. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on things like what your copyright is, what you can do to protect it. Now, bear in mind we are Australian authors, so we will be talking about mainly the Australian rules, although we will go a little bit into the American rules, whether or not you can use your edited version of a reverted rights book, things like that. So I'm going to open the floor and let Suzi go first.
Oh, lucky me. Okay, the main thing that I learned about copyright was about blog posting way back, because I was running the Regency Historical Group blog posting. And I did have people saying, oh, you can't use my blog post, whatever, blah, blah. And when I looked it all up and asked all the experts, you can use some of it. You can repost some things like that as long as you give full disclosure. I gave links to who had written the original blog post, and if you don't put the whole post, you're okay. So most copyright things, if you're talking about taking things from the internet or whatever, if you're using something for research or demonstration purposes, you're allowed to quote someone's work, generally up to a long paragraph, as long as you put a link to who they are and all the information and give them stuff. So copyright in that thing is that even if you put something out on the internet and you own it, other people can share parts of it legally as long as they acknowledge that you're the author.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Sassie.
Oh, okay. My brain's still in bed today. Sorry. Copyright is complicated, very complicated.
It's like a Facebook status. You know, are you in a relationship? It's complicated.
It's complicated, pretty much. As Imi mentioned earlier, we're all Australian authors. So when it comes to copyright in Australia, we actually don't have to purchase copyrights to our books. As Australian citizens, the copyright laws here are ridiculously strict, which is good. So we don't actually have to purchase it. Anything that we publish is automatically copyrighted under. I've got
Copyright Act of Australia.
Yeah, if you actually look in the front of my books, I have the date and everything with the Act number and everything in there that covers us. Now, if a US person or a UK person or anywhere else in the country was to copyright and infringe my copyrights, they would actually be prosecuted under the Australian law. And vice versa. So Americans who have gone out and purchased their copyright for their book, if an Australian was to copyright their book, we get prosecuted under the American law, even though we're Australian citizens, because that book is protected under the copyright of the country it was taken out in and published in. So this is where it all starts to get complicated. The easiest way to avoid any copyright issues, don't fucking do it. Don't breach anybody's copyrights. And that goes not just for words, it goes for images. You see a sexy guy image on Google and we go, oh, we'll post that with an ad to our book. No, no, no. Unless you have purchased that book and you've read the licensing on the image that you've purchased, because that'll change as well, the licensing on how you can use it. You're infringing copyright laws and you can be sued. There is a blog post floating around somewhere that is fantastic where the publisher of the blog got sued over an image that she had used on her blog, and it was one of those free images. But because she makes money out of her blog and stuff like that, she couldn't use it. By law, she couldn't use it. We can't make money off free items that we get, and this is where it gets really complicated. So buy it, don't infringe on it, read everything that goes along with copyright. And yeah, it applies to every platform that you are posting on, not just your books. It's your books, your book covers, your blog, your Twitter account. If you are not the legal owner of what you're posting, there is always that risk that you could be sued for infringing on somebody's rights.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to come at it from you've got a book and you've had it published and you get the rights back, and I hear you all go, yay, I'm going to self-publish it. Okay, stop right there, because what you need to know is in most cases your publisher does not give you the right to reuse the version. They actually own the copyright on that. They don't own the copyright on the story. They own the copyright on the edited and completed piece, including the book cover. So if you get your rights back, and I have seen this, one of the houses that I know of, when they closed down, they said to the authors, you can use the edited file. Okay, that's fine. They were given permission. You can use the cover. Now, the problem with that is that when that book cover is created and the license agreement is made with the cover artist, it is for that cover, and then there are a limited number of impressions, and it is tied to that version only with that publisher. You cannot repost or reuse. You either need to go through the process and license that cover, or you need to get a new cover. And the same with your edited files from your publisher. If your publisher does not clearly say to you, you can use that edited file, don't do it, because that copyright is vested with the publisher and you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. And 9 times out of 10, you will actually find the information concerning that in your contract. You need to sit down and have a jolly good read and make sure you understand the ramifications of using that. Keri, what would you like to add today? Oh, sorry. Ooh.
Sorry, I was just going to clarify something of why publishing houses do that. So it's not to be narky. It's that they have spent the time and money on the edits and paid for the cover art. So, of course, I'm not going to hand over between $1,000 and $2,000 worth of work back to somebody else, and when I'm the one that's forked out the money. So that's why publishing houses do this, why they retain those rights. It's not just to be narky.
No.
Okay.
Keri.
Sorry, Keri.
That's all right. I was just going to add that in the USA, while they did initially require registration of copyright, from 1989 they no longer do. However, if someone infringes on your work in the USA, you've got to have it registered to be able to prosecute them. So we are all protected internationally and in the US, but unless we're registered in the US with our work, we are not able to sue in the US.
And the registration is, it's not a lot.
It's $20 or something. I haven't done it.
But the problem is,
yes.
You've got 32 books. It's a lot of books.
40. Over 40.
The other problem with the US registration office has been that it's been between 6 to 12 months behind. So I know people who have had their books in the queue for months and months and months, and nothing happened.
Mm.
So, I mean, there is certainly a lot to it. We're not all.
But you need to protect yourself by backing up your own work, having written records of when you started books, when you finished books. You know, there was talk once upon a time that sending your book to yourself with a postmark stamp would protect you.
But
no one's ever tested that in court, so we don't know. But as long as you've got a trail to prove that when you open the book and when you finish the book and everything like that, you should be pretty well protected.
But
yeah,
I mean,
those drafts that you started writing and that only went for 3 paragraphs, don't delete them. I have each one of my book files can have anywhere between 50 to 100 actual documents in it.
Yeah.
So, because I've just made a note and typed it down and I add it to that file.
Yeah. I mean, it is a big subject, and I will say right now, we are not lawyers, so do not take this as legal advice, because we can't give you that. What we can say to you, and I've said it in the past, is this is our experiences for very experienced authors who've been in the industry for a long time and who've been through the mill a little bit. So certainly there's a lot more to read. I will put a link to the Australian Copyright Council below. Now, as I'm always saying these days, please ring our bell, subscribe, like the post and share it, because it's only with that people are going to find us. Girls, do you want to add anything?
No?
I'm cool in the morning to be honest.
I know, my folks here.
We're all a bit draggy today. Sorry, guys.
We're a bit slow. Some of us are moving. So, anyway.
Sassie's is echoing.
Sassie's is echoing.
Yep.
I'm echoing. Echo. Subscribe. Bye.
Bye. Bye.